none of the play church.
No, you're right, and it doesn't.
Safe to say is they don't care.
No, yeah, and like Graham was saying, like it would actually be nice for that football thing that they've understandably not done during COVID, but I knew the wrong thing there.
The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happened.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall, he said he could make it.
Don't dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking personality now. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-bit.
No, my life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, you go. Cancel. I'm a tag, Jack. I'm a fucking tag.
Welcome to the LOC Report. It's the first episode of the in-season LOC Report. The co-host is back. How's it going, Chris?
I mean, Nathan, what you should have said was, welcome to the Hall of Fame. You know,
we should just rename this podcast the Hall of Fame Report.
The Hall of Fame. Well, see, it is. This is Hall of Fame worthy. This podcast, and
deemed by the members of the league.
Indeed, and which means that everybody is invested in this.
Yep.
So they're hanging on every word as to what what we think of their team, and I speak for myself here, and I think you're probably the same. To be fair, I am thrilled to be back and doing it.
It's good in person.
This in person, and also for stuff that matters.
Exactly.
Because, not to say that everything else has come before matters, but this just matters more, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Sure. Results count for everything in this game.
They do.
That's where we're going.
We are mere hours away from the kickoff of the LOC season, so what better time...
Celebrating with the only way we know how.
Exactly. So what better time to do the first episode of the season? We'll take a look back at the draft, obviously, then we'll do the Week 1 previews. I can't wait to dust off the Monday Night Football music for the marquee matchup.
We get non-copyright again another year.
It's okay, we don't put ads on this stuff, it's fine. It's good. I did a fact of the day earlier. I don't know if you saw my fact of the day today, but it was about Red Bull. Instagram asked me,
this is paid
we think this is paid advertising. Do you want to prepare? I was like, this is a free... what? Come on now.
I mean, I have to say, if you want... Red Bull's a great story of the West coming to steal something that's been happening for many years. One man from the West, what an opportunity this guy. And what he's turned it into... guy called Dietrich Mateschitz, what a bloke. Yeah. And he's turned it into what I can describe as something that Red Bull is now a brand bigger than a drink.
Sports drink. Yeah, it's one of these massive conglomerates that lends itself to a lot of different things.
Exactly that. I would say that Red Bull are more known for their Formula 1 team than they are for their drink now.
It's probably, I haven't had a can of Red Bull in years.
I had one on Monday, but I can tell you that it's the same. It tastes the same as it did in 1983. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, probably. And in '82 he had it as a jet lag cure, and the rest is history.
That's
it. That is the much rambling. We will do non-football related stuff because we know you're not here for that, and we won't go straight into the league news. We will just go straight into the draft recap because league news kind of muddies some of the stuff that we had with the draft. So before we get into the round by round stuff, we had some pre-draft stuff. We had the unveiling of the new Corona Bowl logo. There it is. If you didn't see it on the day,
there it is.
You did. So mostly designed by me, but with very helpful input from Chris and Tom as well. So thank you for that.
We had some input. I'm not going to. Nathan designed it. We just picked the colour scheme. So
there you go. So hey, it's a teamwork. That's why we have a committee, and we of course had the Hall of Fame. Though we've already spoiled that one. But yeah, as you can guess, Chris is inducted to the Hall of Fame. Well, the LOC Report is inducted. Chris's nomination, but Chris, I'm already inducted as commissioner, so I don't really need the part because under the umbrella of commissioner, podcast kind of comes in that. So Chris, rightfully for his body of work, because it's been a team effort.
It has been certainly a team effort, and I don't do much else, to be fair. So, and for a long time I didn't do anything else, and I did this podcast and was pretty bad at playing the game. But since then, fortunes have improved. Yeah. So this is the thing. I'm thrilled to have now completed the Grand Slam, as it were.
There you go. Yeah, Hall of Fame, championship, regular season winner,
highest scoring team.
I don't know if you had a head coach of the year award in there. Maybe
I've never had that. I've never been that good.
You don't need that.
Do you know what? That's it. There's always something to strive for, Nathan.
Exactly. It's the next thing to get. So, like for the Waypoint football team, we want the Fair Play award, and then if we win the league as well, that's great.
Indeed. That's it. By the way, if anyone out there in YouTube land would like to come and watch us play football. Now, we've been tasked with bringing a friend along. We'd like to bring quite a few friends along. So if you want to come and see our team play, unfortunately neither of us may not play on Saturday. I don't know who's playing, but
I may get a few minutes at the end.
Okay, well there you go. If you want to come and watch the team play and come and meet us in person to talk about football, which you could, football of any kind. We'll talk about American football more though.
Of course,
if you want to. Then it's at where is
it's
it?
It's at Hunts Farm.
Hunts Farm in Timsbury near Romsey.
So Tom, you should be there.
He should be. There's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
So bring a friend, you bring a friend, and then we could have 50 people. It will be great.
Exactly. It would be great. And I obviously lied when I said we were done rambling, because that's what we do on the LOC Report. That's why we're in the Hall of Fame. It's not just a football podcast.
People love it.
Yeah. But turning to the draft then. So, I should say, the draft video is available on YouTube if you would like to rewatch it or watch
Comedy gold.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of how it came out.
That's it. Pat was too. I mean, Pat was smiling like a Cheshire cat the whole bloody day.
I did enjoy editing it.
That's it. So,
and yeah, then we kicked off into the draft as well. So yeah, we had a new member in Dave Henderson, obviously. We had a lot of people in the room draft. It wasn't quite the glitz of the office, but my living room set up fairly well.
I thought it was very quaint.
Yeah,
that's it. I thought that it was, it was an intimate draft where you could discuss things without having to go, what do you reckon? I'll go this way. What do you reckon? That's it. I can just go Viv. Justin Herbert's a stud. Justin Herbert's a stud. So yeah.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, no, it was a good day. And yeah, Pat kicked things off obviously with pick numero uno, Christian McCaffrey. To him, Derrick Henry, of course, went to you. How could we forget? You used the Nathwani rule to leapfrog Ross.
That's it. I mean, that guy's rule.
Yep.
That's it.
And then Dalvin Cook went to Ollie Gardner on the auto draft at 3, semi-auto draft at 3. Alvin Kamara to Mike at 4. Ezekiel Elliott to Gridiron Gang at 5. Nick Chubb to Ixan. Aaron Jones at 7 to Bedednades. 8. Devontae Adams to Ross's team, who even though he was there for first 3 rounds, auto drafted. That's a new one for the LOC draft.
Well, indeed. Now that's it. Now I think that's a bold. That is bold, because I wonder if he did that, bearing in mind that he was going to be drafted second. Didn't quite happen that way, but it's interesting to see what a draft would have done, because as we see through this, he was reasonably fortunate to have auto drafted the team that he did last year.
Very much so.
But we'll see if lightning will strike twice.
Definitely. Pick 9 was Jonathan Taylor to Napolitans, and 10 was Tyreek Hill to the Dream Team, 11 Stephon Diggs to Bare Necessities, and 12 Najee Harris to Tom Science. Nothing really of note in the first round.
Agreed.
So we'll mosey on to round 2, because after all, we haven't had any snaps of football played yet, so we can't really comment. On those kind of picks we can't comment. But there are definitely some that we can comment on. This isn't one of them though. Pick 13 in round 2 to Tom's Tyrants was Antonio Gibson. 14 Travis Kelce to Bare Necessities. 15 Austin Eckler to the Dream Team. 16 Saquon Barkley to the Napolitans. 17 Patrick Mahomes also drafted to Ross's team. 18 Calvin Ridley to Bedednators. 19 Josh Allen to Ixan. DeAndre Hopkins at 20 to Gridiron Gang. DK Metcalf at 21 to Bucking the Trend. Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the semi-auto draft to Your Gold at 22. Joe Mixon to Fortifiers at 23. And David Montgomery at 24 to Pakistan. There's a few interesting things of note in round 2. This is where we typically see Saquon Barkley, obviously there at pick 16 is an interesting one. He's the guy that probably has an ADP of the first round, and he fell pretty much midway into the second round.
He's good value where he is there. I think if you're prepared to invest the time in waiting for him to come back to full fitness, I think that come the midpoint of the season and beyond, you are absolutely laughing, because you have got a stud. And I know that their O-line's not great. I know that offensively they're not great, in general. But that's it. The guy is a phenom. You can't argue with that. I know he's come off a big injury. I know that he didn't really play that many downs last year, but when he's fit and when he's running, oh my word! I mean, this guy is a top 5 pick.
Yeah, definitely. You're right, and the thing obviously I had him before his injury last season, and the frustrating thing for me was it didn't look like he was going to do much, because teams were just out to stop him. Yeah. To be honest, if he'd have even fallen far to me there at 20, I probably would have passed him.
Wow.
Just because that he'll be a volume based probably RB2. A minimum, you would think. Like you say, you've got to wait for him to be healthy to even get that volume probably. But yeah, you're right. If it pays off, he'll absolutely pay off that second round pick.
For sure, yeah.
We also had the first quarterback off the board in Patrick Mahomes, so that wasn't entirely surprising there. But the second one, only a few picks later, Josh Allen. But I guess in the draft circles, there was a lot of people making the case for Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes.
I think that Josh Allen does provide that, for fantasy perspective anyway, a different kind of threat, I suppose, to Patrick Mahomes. That Mahomes is obviously, is volume passing, but Josh Allen does have those rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because he's such a big guy, and yeah, that's valuable. So yeah, I think that if Ben probably took the view that he may not be there next time around.
And that's
and he really wanted him. So yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. That's probably fair enough. I think that he'll get a decent dividend out of that draft pick, or that's certainly where he's got him anyway.
Sure. Nothing else really of interest in round 2. So we'll go on to round 3. Justin Jefferson at 25 to Pakistan. Chris Carlson at 26 to Forge Flyers. CD Lamb at 27 to Your Gold. Ismail Sanders 28 to Bucking the Trend. AJ Brown at 29 to Gridiron Gang. Josh Jacobs at 30 to Ixan. Gus Edwards at 31 to Bedetonators. 32 was Darren Waller to Ross's team. 33 George Kittle to Napolitans. 34 James Robinson to the Dream Team. 35 DeAndre Swift to Ben Necessities. And 36 Keenan to Tom's Tyrants. Again, I wouldn't say anything really too eyebrow raising in this round. There are some picks that round 3 is where it starts to get a bit riskier, of course. So
yes.
Guys like Miles Sanders, CD Lamb, where you're kind of imagining what their upside is at this point. To be honest, you've also got another Titan, couple of Titans off the board, one of them auto drafted.
The one thing I will say in this round, and as sad as it is that Gus Edwards is already out for the season. As your third round pick, which absolutely sucks. So yeah, which is a shame for Ollie, because obviously he had really big upside in that offense this year. But other than that, everyone in this round you expect to be picked in this round.
Yeah, for sure. And the Ravens just seem to be snake bit this season.
Yes.
It's just unfortunate, as you say. On to round 4 then. So we have another quarterback off the board. Kyler Murray at 37 to Tom's Tyrants. Mike Evans at 38 to Bare Necessities. Terry McLaurin at 39 to the Dream Team. Lamar Jackson to Napolitans at pick 40. We then have Allen Robinson at 41 to Ross's team. Dak Prescott to Bedetonators at 42. Damian Harris at 43 to Exxon. 44 Robert Woods to Gridiron Gang. 45 Murray Cooper to Bucking the Trend. 46 Adam Thielen to Your Gold. 47 Aaron Rodgers to Forge Flyers. And 48 DJ Moore to Pakistan. Again, nothing really eyebrow raising in this round. Mike Evans is a guy that, based on ADP, probably slid further than you would have normally expected, but he was typically going as a third round pick. Probably the same for Terry McLaurin. But then you've got the interesting other side of this, where you have a guy like Damian Harris who went way ahead of his ADP, but obviously ADP perhaps doesn't catch up quite as much with Cam being cut. So
perhaps not. I think that if he's the head of what we assume is going to be a committee, but if he's the head of that, we've seen guys in the past. For the Patriots have great value. Sony Michel was that for a while. James White was like that for a while.
Yeah,
but they never seem to last for some reason.
No, and I think it's difficult because he was really good last season in the workload he had and efficiency wise. But this season, Cam going helps because you say, okay, he's going to get the goal line and stuff in theory. But then you're like, well, Ramondre Stevenson's there. Yeah, they also like JJ Taylor. James White ain't coming off the field for passing downs. And he's also a guy that's had health issues, so again, he's one of those guys with the upside. If he hits, he'll definitely be above a 4th round pick, you would think, but
for sure,
it's a massive risk at this stage. And you have guys like Thielen who are on the downturn as well in this round, so it's interesting. But that was like I say, it was a semi-auto draft pick. He would have picked him based on his picks for
don't get me wrong, like, he's going to be a very serviceable wide receiver too, but yeah, in comparison to some of the guys that have gone above him, he does carry that bit more of a risk. Yeah. I agree.
We also have 4 quarterbacks in this round. Again, our league is almost so pro that we're not a scrub league that takes quarterbacks high because they think I need a good quarterback. We're not like, your run-of-the-mill, everyone knows what they're doing league, where everyone's like, we're going to take these quarterbacks when they're a value on their ADP. We've gone beyond that. We're so good as owners that quarterbacks somehow make their way back up the draft board because teams see the value in them as well. It's a funny dynamic.
Definitely. I mean, I think that the right quarterbacks have gone at the right time. So you would expect the guys that have already got this point, which are Mahomes, Allen, Prescott, Rodgers, and Lamar, to have all gone by this point. I mean, they're difference makers in your lineup. And even though the position does seem to be overvalued sometimes, the weeks where these guys when they go off, they go off.
Yeah.
They go off for 30, 40, 50 points. Sometimes we've seen with the likes of Rodgers and Lamar.
Yeah,
and Mahomes, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
All of them are capable, and I think that's where people get that want.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not for the day to day or the week to week.
No,
it's when they go, they are more likely than most to hit those big numbers.
For sure. Yeah, a good quarterback score can carry one if not two skill
hugely. Exactly. They can bump that up.
Yeah. Round 5 then, so 49 was Chris Godwin to Badistan, 50 was Cooper Kupp to Forge Flyers, 51 TJ Hawkinson to UR Gold, 52 Julio Jones to Bucking the Trend, 53 Tyler Lockett to Gridiron Gang, 54 Mark Andrews to Ixam, 55 Deontay Johnson to Bedednays, 56 Darrell Henderson to Ross's team, 57 Brandon Ayuk to Napolitans, 58 Justin Herbert to the Dream Team, 59 Mike Davis to Ben Necessities, and 60 Miles Gaskin to Tom's Tyrants. So there is a few interesting things of note in this round. One, TJ Hawkinson, which was an auto. Perhaps I didn't read the Ollie's draft card quite correctly, because he basically had options at each round, and then 1 to 5 of favourite options. What I was not doing until after that pick was looking back to see if there was a player available at a higher round in that option. I was just looking at the top option available based on the round, so he may have gone, probably, I think maybe Julio was on his draft card or something like that, but that's what happens when you don't turn up on draft
exactly
day.
That, it's it. You don't get everyone exactly what. I mean, TJ Hawkinson could well be.
He could be, yeah. I mean, he figures to be the top receiver there.
Exactly that. Yeah. So he could still be good value at that point. I know he plays for the Lions, but it's it. I like what I hear from Dan Campbell. Right, it's it. This guy's not. He's not compromising. That's it. He is what he is, and he is exactly what they need to go and grow some in Detroit, because they've just been languid for so long now.
It's very true. I did hear that apparently he has the toughest tight end schedule in football out of all teams. Obviously, those are based, I think, predominantly on last year and speculative things, but I think to bear in mind. Mike must have been rushing this pick to the Facebook chat. To me, Julio Jones at 52. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a draft where Julio's fallen to round 5, so he was probably quite happy with that. Ben goes back in on the tight ends at pick 54.
He loves a bit of Mark Andrews, this guy,
but again, much like Hawkinson, profiles to be the top option in that offense, especially now that we heard about Gus Edwards. Maybe they are a little pass heavier than they were hoping to be. And then at the back end, you have some interesting players as well. We talk about Damien Harris, who was really a guy that was kind of with these two running backs here, but Harris goes in the middle of round 4. Mike Davis and Miles Gaskin fall to the back of round 5, and that is a low risk for a potential RB2.
Yeah. I am really excited to see Mike Davis in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think Arthur Smith's going to be just superb for him, and just generally that offense. And I think that if he can bring some of the schemes that we've seen in Tennessee over the last couple of years into Atlanta, actually get a running game going, because they haven't really got much of that going in the last couple of seasons, I think that could be extremely good value. Gaskin, much the same, because we saw him last year. There were flashes of brilliance. Yes, he got injured, and we saw a bit of Salvin Ahmed, but when he was there, he was dangerous. And I think, again, down in pick 60, that's what you want. You want dangerous guys, and I think for Darrell Henderson the same. I know he's on auto draft, but so he could be that big sprawling back that you don't tend to find past this round, because there's not a lot of value past this. You have to get them now. And I think Tom and your dad will be absolutely laughing their way to the bank on that one, because they can afford to have gone top heavy with receivers, and then at this point pick up someone who, could well pay out in a big way.
Yeah, for sure. And look, there's a reason these guys are here. You kind of touched on it. With Henderson and Gaskin, there's obviously threats for the committee with some pretty good backs around them.
Yeah.
They profile to be the league dogs, of course. With Mike Davis, age is a factor. The O-line's not the best. You're completely right about the philosophy that team should have. But yeah, it's but the absence of any other running back really on that roster is it's kind of the absent almost is a vote of confidence there.
Exactly.
So.
He did so well in Carolina, as you will
well
know, last year. So yeah.
It was between him and Lockett probably there for me in round 5. It's just I went the other way on that particular occasion. Round 6 then we have Colton Sutton to Tom's Tyrants, Russell Wilson to Bare Necessities, Javonte Williams to the Dream Team, Devonta Smith to Napolitans, Carl Pitts to Ross's team, Chase Edmonds to Bedenators, T. Higgins to Ixan, Jerry Jeudy to Gridiron Gang, Raheem Mostert to Bucking the Trend, Chase Claypool to UR Gold, Odell Beckham Jr. to Ford Flyers, and then Kareem Hunt to Palestine. So again, a few interesting things here. I think we had that quarterback run, and despite that, Russell Wilson, the guy who arguably even ahead of Herbert, who did he go in the last round? I've already forgotten. Yes, he did. Herbert goes ahead of him, and Russell Wilson much in the same category as the Prescott, Jackson, Rodgers tier. So. Based on how the draft went, I'd say very good value for my depth.
Hugely, yes. Again, another one you'd be laughing your way to. To get him down there is criminal. I don't know how he ended up falling that far, but he does every time. I think because he plays for a reasonably non-sexy team.
Yeah.
No one thinks of Seattle and goes sexy team. Yeah, so you think of Pete Carroll, defensive team, but Russell Wilson's been consistently. And consistently great fantasy wise, and also I know he had a pretty slack second or maybe like final third of last season. Yeah. But we forget that through the first
he was on fire,
third or two of the season,
and they've got
absolutely brilliant.
They've got the Rams previous. I don't know if he was OC or one of the offensive coaches.
Brian
or something.
Schottenheimer's gone, isn't he?
Yeah, and he, the talk is that he's just gonna help them out. What kind of went wrong last season was teams were just sitting back, but in Schottenheimer's it was basically a run and chuck offense. They went deep when they threw, so teams were just sitting back. Whereas coming from the Rams offense, where it's much about the short to intermediate game, they're going to be able to hit that more, and it should benefit them, as you say. The other value I think here as well is Raheem Mostert, a guy where I never really understood why his ADP was round 6, round 7, because you've got the injury and age concerns. You've got the same thing with Mike Davis though, but he's on the most running heavy team in football. Not only running heavy, but a team that can run the ball very well.
I agree. I see. Yeah. I think there's probably 2 factors in that. One, Trey Sermon has been the guy in the ascendancy in pre-season. There's a lot of talk about him and how he's going to take the reins soon after the season starts.
Yeah.
If he performs well. And also, Raheem Mostert is made of glass.
He's a glass cannon.
The guy when he's on the field is great, but when he's he's off the field more than he's on it.
Definitely.
I don't think that you can really buy too high into that. At that point, I'm quite happy to buy that because of the upside, but further on, further up the board, I suppose. Yeah, that's it. Those 2 things bring him down.
Sure. In round 7, then we have Tom Brady at pick 73 to Pakistan, Kenny Golladay at 74 to Forge Flyers, Juju Smith-Schuster at 75 to UL Gold, who just took Claypool at the end of round 6 there. But again, auto draft. Ryan Tannehill at 76 to Bucking the Trend, 77 is Trey Sermon to Gridiron Gang, 78 Brandon Cooks to Ixan. 79 Robbie Anderson to Bedenators, 80 Michael Thomas to Ross's team, 81 LaVisca Chenault Jr. to Napolitans, 82 Jamar Chase to the Dream Team, 83 Melvin Gordon to Bare Necessities, and 84 Ronald Jones to Tom's Tyrants. Again, of interest in this round, I guess the auto draft of Michael Thomas to Ross's team, who it's questionable. He's going to miss probably at least half the season, and some have said that perhaps even more, given the recovery time of that.
Yes, I think again, someone who, if you're prepared to wait on him, could be the difference maker down the line. But I don't know whether or not this part of the draft anyway, you are juggling between, those high upside flyers and someone who you want a bit more consistency out of. I think that if Michael Thomas is in that team from the start with Jameis this year, that sounds great to me. Jameis Winston could be exactly what New Orleans need, in the sense that he's something very different to Drew Brees. He's that He throws a lot of picks, or did in Tampa, but yeah, he's got that ability to be explosive, and having a receiver like that only helps. I know we saw how amazing Mike Evans was with him.
Yeah.
In Tampa, despite all the problems that they had. So yeah, for maybe the crunch time, the weeks 12 to 17 with this season,
Yeah, it could pay dividends.
If Ross gets that far into it, then you don't want to come across a guy like that.
No, but for what it's worth, Ross still has not put him on his reserve spot, so there is also that.
Probably best to do that,
Yeah.
bearing in mind that he's out for 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or
It's
10
at least
weeks.
6 weeks on PUP, I think. So, yeah.
So yeah,
The other value here again, my dad's team keeps cropping up with the nice values here.
yes,
Melvin Gordon at the end, and again, like a similar situation to the Niners. Denver, on the face of it, you would say not as run prolific, but if that defense takes a step forward, that's exactly what they're going to be. He doesn't have the health concerns that Mostert does. There is the rookie there, but
yeah. That's it. They brought him in to be that lead guy. So they're not just going to sack that off overnight. Johnny Williams has got to come in and he's got to prove that he's worth that starting spot. But that starting spot is Melvin Gordon's for now. And I think that with that upgrading QB, they could be on the field a bit more. They're not going to be as far down. Their defense is obviously extremely good. So they've got probably the best safeties in the sport at the moment.
yeah,
So yeah, and also probably one of the best defensive minds. He's certainly in the top 3 in the league.
good coach.
So yeah, that does stand in good stead. And I think that again, what I said about earlier on, there's very little value in running backs at this point, and if you can find it, it's like gold.
Yeah, it's weird. This year the running back dead zone's actually been pretty good. Usually it's pretty putrid most years, but this year I found myself having a lot of interest in it at the right point.
Yeah, for sure.
Round 8 then, A5 Debo Samuel to Tom Starrance, 86 Mr. Big Chest to Bare Necessities, 87 Corey Davis to the Dream Team, 88 Zach Moss to Napolitans, 89 Logus Thomas to Ross's team, which I believe is his 4th tight end by this point, quite possibly, 90 Matthew Stafford to Bedadnators, who already drafted as well Dak Prescott, 91 James Conner to Ixan, 92 Michael Carter to Gridiron Gang, 93 DJ Chark to Bucking the Trend, 94 Robert Tanyan to You Are Gold, 95 Michael Gallup to Forge Flyers, and 96 AJ Dillon to Padistan. So yeah, probably only real things of interest here are that another tight end to Ross's team, and was there another? Oh yeah, and that Ollie took backup quarterback in round 8 after spending a 4th round draft pick on Dak Prescott.
Yes, I mean that does take you a little bit where he feels with Dak. Is that so is he going to be able to last? Is he going to be injured again? Mm-hmm. Is the hype true with this Dallas offense? Is it but on the same vein, is the hype real with the Rams? So the Rams have been fated as this like bombastic, big throw-in, loads of yards. Matt Stafford's a MVP candidate potentially, it's a bit of a dark horse for that. We'll see. I mean, it could be the strongest QB room, in the game. But we will see. I mean, I think that perhaps, when you've got a guy like Dak, and I know that he saw what happened to Ben last year when he went down, and you want a bit of insurance, but is that too high a price to pay for?
I mean, the problem is, as we'll see, is that one of the teams definitely waited on quarterback. I was only, in very rare cases, taking 2 quarterbacks when I waited.
Yes.
Trying to take a solid guy and then maybe a high upside guy. Because we've got those 5 bench spots, it's tough out there to hold 2 quarterbacks. And yeah, like you say, you've got a stud in Prescott. You invested pretty heavy draft capital, and the guys you can get around for aren't slouches.
No.
And then to double down on the position, not only have you invested 2, and again, this is round 8. You can see some players off the board here. You can certainly see the path to a good season for some of these players. So. It's a lot of investment,
yes,
and a lot of bench commitment. If he tries to flip one of them in a trade or something, or if one does get injured,
I kind of get that. It's a useful chip to have. But is he going to make use of both of them? Try to interchange them. I don't see that.
Yeah, for sure. Round 9 then, Will Fuller at 97 to Padistan, 98 Keller Samuel to Forge Flyers, Mike Williams at 99 to UR Gold, Michael Pittman 100 to Bucking the Trend, Sony Michelle 101 to Gridiron Gang, Marvin Jones 102 to Iksan. Daniel Mooney 103 to the Detonators. 104 Gronkowski to Ross's team. That's the 5th tight end. Joe Burrow 103 to Napolitans. 106 was Jalen Hurts to the Dream Team. 107 the first D off the board. The Rams D to Ben Necessities. And 108 Marcus Callaway to Tom's Tyrants. There's obviously some nice high upside picks in this round, but we won't really comment too much on that because it's all speculation obviously at this point still. But the things we can talk about of interest are probably the first defense going off the board is the biggest thing.
I understand it. LA Rams defense, they no run of any real worth in or out, which is nice. That's it. They were a dominant unit last year. They've got 2 of the most dominant defensive players in the sport. You know, the number 1 defensive player in the sport, in my opinion, in Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, you know, if especially as you're going to be playing them every single week.
Sure.
You know, so yes, they've got one of the toughest divisions in the sport, but it doesn't seem to matter with that because they have everything that they need.
Yeah, definitely. The one drawback though, I mean, round 9 again, it's you're taking a defense over some pretty good sleeper options or whatever at this point.
Yeah.
They have got 6 tough games in that division each year. And I think I've mentioned a few times that statistically the number 1 overall defense from last season never finishes at that point. And even I think it was something like the top 5 or 10 drafted defenses, only like 17% or something ridiculous of them actually end up finishing in those top units. So, but yeah, interesting. Round 10 then, so we have the next D off the board, Tampa Bay to Tom's Tyrants, then London Fournette to Ben Necessities at 110, Steelers D at 111 to the Dream Team, 112 Tyler Boyd to Napolitans, 113 Devin Singletary to Ross's team, at 114 Michael Hardman to the Detonators, 115 Kenyon Drake to Ixan, 116 Matt Ryan to Gridiron Gang, 117 Jalen Waddle to Bucking the Trend, 118 Jarvis Landry to UR Gold, 119 Marquise Brown to Forge Flyers, and 120 Washington Football Team to Palestine. Nothing really interesting there. Sleeper picks, defenses. So we'll move on to round 11, which is, you can see, kicker and defense city. We've got Butker to Palestine, Ravens to Forge Flyers, Justin Fields, who was drafted effectively as the starting quarterback for UR Gold at this point, 1-2-3. The Niners D to Bucking the Trend at 1-2-4, Jacoby Myers to Gridiron Gang at 1-2-5, Justin Tucker to Ixan at 1-2-6, which, second kicker off the board there. Tyrell Williams to Bedanese at 1-2-7, Dallas Goddard to Ross's team. I lied, that was the 5th tight end. 1-2-8. Noah Fant at 1-2-9 to Napolitans. Henry Ruggs the 3rd at 130 to the Dream Team. Tyler Bass 1-3-1 to Ben Necessities, and Jason Sanders at 1-3-2 to Tom's Torrance. Again, not really anything of great interest.
Not a great deal there. No, I agree. So I'm losing count with how many tight ends Russell's got.
And then round 12. We have Tyson Williams, who may turn out to be the pick of the draft at this point.
Could be.
1-3-3 to Tom's Tyrants. Jamal Williams, 1-3-4 to Ben Necessities. Again, that's a nice value there for the Lions backfield. Young Waker, 1-3-5 to the Dream Team. Pat Steed to the Napolitans at 1-3-6. Bills D to Ross's team 1-3-7. Dolphins start the Detonators 1-3-8. Nelson Aguilar to Ixan at 1-3-9. Broncos D to Gridiron Gang at 1-40. Greg Zerline to Bucking the Trend at 1-4-1. 1-4-2 Robert Gold to UR Gold. 1-4-3 Ryan Suckup to Forge Flyers, and 1-4-4 Russell Gage to Palestine. Again, I would say nothing other than obviously the Tyson Williams.
Tyson, again, it's speculative, but also this.
Also, and on the other hand, he may tear his ACL tomorrow.
He might. That's it. That's it. I think all them Baltimore players are going to be a little bit careful with that. Something's not going right.
They must have more torn ACLs on that team at this point than non-torn ACLs.
Unbelievable. Yes,
it's pretty crazy. Round 13 then, we had Trey Lance to Pakistan at the top of the round, final round of the draft. Randall Cobb to Forge Flyers 1-4-6, Bears D to UR Gold at 1-4-7, Latavius Murray, who has since been cut. The only pick of the draft.
Where's he going?
Yeah, and he spoke about the Ravens, I think, when he got cut.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I did see that they signed Devonta Freeman recently, but they've got 3 more spaces available in that running back room, I think. That is quite the draft room, can we just say? If they had Murray, Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell 5 years ago...
That would be insane. I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, that could be a very ugly committee, though.
Very ugly, old, and slow committee.
Yeah.
Jason Myers at 149 to Gridiron Gang. The Browns D at 150 to Ixan. Evan McPherson at 151 to the Detonators. Rodrigo Blankenship at 152 to Ross's team. Daniel Carlson at 153 to Napolitans. 154, Tony Pollard to the Dream Team. Elijah Moore at 155 to Tom's Torrance. And then at the end, Mr. Irrelevant, the most irrelevant Mr. Irrelevant we've ever had, Adrian Peterson at 156.
He could end up there too. You just don't know.
Yeah, wow, that backfield again 5 years ago. They just need a time machine now.
Frank Gore as well. Turn him all.
Yeah, he's still out there. I don't think he's officially retired.
No, he hasn't.
Why aren't they kicking the tires?
The guy will never ever retire.
Yeah.
That's it. Can I just say though, it's lovely to see right down there that Daniel Carlson, who has the longest neck in the sport. I've just noticed that.
That's a long neck.
That is a seriously long neck. I mean, he can definitely see over the offensive line there. Yeah, so exactly that. I mean, I've been looking through these photos, and I mean, don't think I've ever seen anybody with a longer neck than that. That is a strong neck and shoulders.
Yeah, it's a pretty hunched neck. And in terms of the neck fantasy league, Dave has just had a steal right there. So.
He has. I mean, he's picked his first round pick in the last round there. I mean, if there's anyone out there who has a longer neck than Daniel Carlson, please let me know, because that guy is a strong Viking-like guy.
He looks like it, yeah.
No wonder he kicks for 50-yarders.
Yeah.
That's it for fun.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. Bet he kick further as well.
Probably. All kickers nowadays.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, just watch him. I mean, when Vegas go and play Denver, that's it. You watch him kick from 80 yards. You wait. That's it. That neck. He's just doing it on his own. So anyway, we digress.
It's okay. We won't do a team-by-team review or anything like that. Tom has just posted the power rankings, which we will come to a bit later in the show, so you can read those for your verdict on teams and everything like that. We will, however, debate something. John Perkow, could you please usher us into Debate the Corner, please?
Order.
Thank you, John. And the topic of the Debate Corner today is it's a bit of a tough one, because we're going to go favourite and least favourite draft pick. Are we gonna keep the auto draft picks in this or exclude them? It's harder.
It's not your own free will. If you pick something at your own free will, it's your fault. So. But I'm going to count Ollie Gardner's. I'm not going to count Ross's because
Ollie Gardner's was
was a list. So if there's some sort of direction, then I'm not having that. So, what's my favourite pick of the draft? I mean, we did wax lyrical about those running backs in the 5th and 6th round.
We did, yep.
And I think that come season's end, that could be. We can look back on that and say that is the one. You've got to play all year, so the guys that you take speculatively to kind of play later on in the year, I'm not so sure about them.
No, it's tough to pick one.
Further down the list, there could be a receiver that comes out of nowhere, but I just don't see it.
We can't call it at this point.
No, exactly that. That Michael Pittman pick down there, I want to just highlight that a second, because there's not that many at the moment. And obviously when T.Y. Hilton will come back eventually, but till he does, and we'll see if the Carson Wentz experiment works. But if that does work, that is a first round a wide receiver 1 in the 10th round.
Yeah, potentially.
With a very serviceable quarterback in a nice stable organisation. So I like that. Would it be my favourite pick of the draft? No. But we are looking at it here. That is it. Pick 62 at Russell Wilson.
That was going to be my pick. Yeah, based on in terms of quite often when I was preparing to draft, and my 6th round pick was the point that I said, I'll take one of those quarterbacks at that point. Whatever one from the group that falls, that's where I was taking him. Where the draft went, where a lot of them went around 4 or above, to get that one there around 6. Yeah, I completely agree. And he sounds like he's going to be set up for a big year, and Russell Wilson's always pretty good anyway.
Safe as houses, you know what you're going to get from him. You know you're going to get some dross weeks because that's just the way he plays. But the weeks that you do get, and when you get him going, they're week winners.
Definitely. My least favourite pick, it's probably going to be somewhat controversial because it's, I guess, more based on opinion, but widely regarded not to be a very good option this year, Ismail Sanders. So that's where I'm going to go with my least favourite pick. obviously he didn't fit the bill last year. They never really trusted him. It looks like much the same this year. Everything you hear out of Philly is that team's probably not going to be very good.
Nope.
And with other players on the board there, he could have gone AJ Brown, Gus Edwards, James Robinson, some other guys, Keenan Allen. It's a risky third round pick for me. So that would be my least.
Yes, no, that's fair enough. The TJ Hawkinson pick is a weird one for me where it was.
It was a complete. Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. Okay, so it was a semi-auto draft.
Yeah, bearing in mind where it was, I'd say we're going to see that as an outlier. So,
but I suppose you know what. Even though I maybe didn't look back at the other options there, he was hit. I think he was an option in the fifth round. He may have even been the number one option in the fifth round. I'm just trying to.
So yes, if you really want someone like that, that's. You bear in mind what quality there is around it.
So he was actually his second option behind Lamar Jackson round 5, ahead of Claypool, Harrison, Pitts. I think the only, just looking back at his,
certainly have had Pitts over here.
Just looking at his other picks this year, I'm not even sure there were other players on the board. Where did you take Cup in that round?
I took Cup.
Did you take him ahead of him? I think you did. Yeah. So Cup was an option. Mark Andrews, who again it's another tight end, but a better tight end. So Mark Andrews, if I was going to look back, would have gone or Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, so they all went in that round. But even so, he was still... in fact, he was in the discussion in the fifth round, sixth round, wherever it was, fifth round, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That to me is strange. There aren't that many... For the first time in a long time, there actually aren't that many weird picks in the draft.
No, definitely not. And if you really wanted to be true, the worst pick was probably Adrian Peterson. Hard to have a worse pick with the final pick of the draft.
Indeed, that's it. But down there, I mean, that's it. At least, you might as well not have drafted a guy. So.
Literally, quite literally. And the best part about it is I'm pretty sure he's still on my dad's team.
Oh, wait, you never know who might get picked up by.
Indeed. Yeah, he's been playing the long game.
Indeed.
And hiring Tonya Harding to go around the Ravens training facility.
Absolutely. Allegedly. No, that's not allegedly. She did it.
Yeah, they proved she got indicted or whatever.
Yeah,
guilty,
so there you are.
Yeah,
that's it.
Indeed.
That would be an interesting one to come out.
That would be a plot twist, indeed.
Very much.
But we'll do the league news now, so let's go on to that. So we obviously do a key transactions. We won't do all. There's been some activity, as you may or may not have seen. The only key one there is you are Gold actually adding a starting quarterback.
Well, that's good.
And Baker Mayfield, effectively for Robert Tonyan, it doesn't show like that, but that's basically the gist of it. So we don't need to discuss that one.
That's it.
And you already mentioned the injury a bit earlier. Gus Edwards is the big injury news there. Ollie's going to have... he's driving up to North Shields or wherever it is at the moment, where his girlfriend's from. So he's going to have a bit of a shock when he checks his phone.
Indeed. That's it. She's from Geordieland. No, she's not. She's a Scout.
It's not. Yeah, is that not what? It's something.
Southport. It's not. It's nice. It's nice Liverpool. It's posh Liverpool.
It's something around. It's something near Liverpool.
I know. Yes, Southport is actually quite nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's
something like that.
Yeah, he's done well there. He's
done
well there.
So more than a football podcast.
There you go. So you can go there and see some lovely golf courses. all the footballers, and ex-footballers live up in Southport, so there must be something about it.
Yeah. Trade block. Obviously, no one is on the trade block as yet. But if you would like to put someone on the trade block, let me know, and I'll read it out during the podcast. There's also the.
It's the only way to shop your players on here.
There is another way. You can only go on it via the desktop, but there is actually a trading block section on the website.
No one sees that. Everyone sees the podcast though, and it's more fun to read out because we can try and tout your players, and if you do want to trade them, then I can speak like like an auction house guy.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sold.
That's what you expect from a Hall of Fame podcast.
You'll
be on Storage Wars next.
Yup. Is he still on it? No, Dave Hester.
He must be.
Mate, he's the only one. He's the only one. Him and Big Daryl. So I know that some of the ones from back in the day. I know, mate, the older guy's gone.
The really old guy. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the other one? The husband and wife team.
Oh yeah.
Jared and Brandy. So they're still going.
Yeah.
But Storage Wars, mint. I remember spending
It's a pretty good show.
I remember spending the whole evening in a Washington DC hotel room watching that.
Why were you doing that instead of going out?
Because I had severe heat stroke.
That's
That's a story
understandable.
for another day. But I will say I had severe heat stroke because I went to President Kennedy's grave. I don't remember it. That's how bad it was.
Okay.
So and I remember standing at Arlington National Cemetery under a fan with just the worst, and that will teach me an 18-year-old self walking 2 miles in 105 Fahrenheit heat.
Yeah.
When idiot me should just pay for a taxi. Don't do it, people. All right, don't do it. There's a reason why all the Americans don't walk. Is because it's too hot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what is hot? The
Yeah.
power rankings, which just dropped.
That is hot. That's
Just before we went on there, I've not read it. You haven't read it because of that reason, but we can run down the list and see what we think. So, as I said, for your team by team analysis of the draft, look no further than Tom's power rankings article. We have Ross's team at the bottom. Understandable with 5 tight ends. Ixan there at 11. You are gold at 10. So according to this, Ixan did worse than technically an auto-drafted team, though he did have technical issues as well on the day, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he did. Well, he should have thought ahead about that, shouldn't he? So he had
What was the issue? I didn't really understand.
Right, so his spreadsheets didn't work on his work laptop, right? So I said to him when we were at my house beforehand, I said, look, I've got 2 laptops, you can borrow one. And he's like, no, it'll be fine, I'll run it on my phone. And then he got there and his phone didn't work. So, more fault to him. I done it on my iPad, I don't care. I just go, yeah, cross off. Yeah, cross off. Yeah, I test, just, whatever. You can use the laptop. But he got too bold. He said, oh, you know what, don't worry, I'll do it on my phone. It'll make me look like an absolute pro.
Well, not according to the power rankings or what?
Anything but a pro.
I don't know where's his team in here. Napolitans are at 6. He was doing his on an Etch-a-Sketch. Paw Patrol Etch-a-Sketch.
Yes,
Etch-a-Sketch.
Exactly that. Yeah. So that is absolutely right. So I just don't know. I don't know if you spent all that time doing those spreadsheets over a series of not just weeks but months, and then you turn up on the day with just your phone. So
It's not ideal.
Go with an Etch-a-Sketch is going to do.
You know what the lesson you need to test before. I have my Excel spreadsheets too. I always do a test run.
Exactly. You've got
with
to.
a mock
You've
draft.
got to. I just don't know why you don't. I don't have any of those, but but you know what? If you want to be a tryhard and have some spreadsheets, that's more. That's fair to you. If you like Excel and know how to use it, great.
I do like Excel, so yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, but I think you'll agree. That's it. Try hard or not try hard. You want your tech to work.
It does help, yeah. It does help, which I also had issues with at the start of the draft, where I was going to Chromecast from the PC down for the draft, everything. I had to scrap that and do the app. I realised I've got some USB extension cables in there. I probably could have extended the wireless beacon down the stairs, so it would have picked up. I'll know for next.
You don't think about that. Yes, it is.
In the heat of the moment, yeah.
It doesn't matter now.
No.
The fact is that it went
Good.
It went very well.
Good. Back to the power rankings. So at 9 we have Tom's Tyrants, so harsh critic on himself there. But Adonaida's at 8, Fortifies at 7, Napolitans at 6, Gridiron Gang at 5, Ben Assisties at 4, Dream Team at 3, Bucking Trend at 2, and Pakistan at 1, which is what Fantasy Bros had as well. What do you make of the power rankings?
I think that the right teams at the bottom. I think that the teams in the middle have absolutely got a shout of being.
It's a difficult one. The
way
week one
above, because no one
rankings.
really
Yep.
knows. So you look at it and go, well, these guys don't have much upside. These guys, these guys are solid, but where the points going to come from? I don't know. I like elements of everybody's team this year, but you never really know until it shakes out after the first week who's got the right formula. It's all very well doing things on paper, but in practice, it's a completely different story. As for anything in life.
Yeah. It's a fair comment. Yeah. So that's the power rankings. Go and read them. And we will go on to the week 1 previews at last then. And for the week 1 previews, we have The current champion Ross taking on my team Gridiron Gang. Forward Flyers against Bare Necessity. That's founding teams in that one there. Tom's Torrents against the Dream Team. Benedinators against Palestine. You Are Gold against Napolitans. And Ixan against Bucking the Trend. This is, of course, an outer division or inter-division, whatever it is, week.
Well, listen, I think if we're going to pick a marquee matchup, I want to give the honour of the marquee matchup in this particular podcast to last year's winner.
Okay, so for the marquee matchup for week 1 of the 2021 LOC season, it is Gridiron Gang against let's just call them Southampton Argos. The current champ, Ross's team, the Southampton Narwhals, take on Gridiron Gang in the marquee matchup for week 1. And the projections are not in the champ's favour in this one, but it is a close 89-88. Looking down the lineups, so for Gridiron Gang, starting as it was drafted, they are going with 4 receivers this week and 1 running back in Ezekiel Elliott. Brown has obviously had his knee issues, but he should play. On the other side of the ball for Ross's team, also as it was drafted, they are rolling out 2 tight ends and a running back and 2 receivers, so they are in 12 personnel this week, so on the run-heavy side. The history of this matchup, we can go and have a look at that right over here. So Gridiron Gang are 5-6 all-time against Ross's team.
Now, I did do my homework earlier on, and I did have a look through, and this is quite a close matchup on the projections. Was the reason why. Also, because we've got nothing to go on yet.
Of course, yeah.
That's it. Last year's winner versus the Commissioner. It sounds like it's an ideal one to go with.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but I do think that these teams are reasonably evenly matched as well. Now, that's it. I think that you've got a bit more pop in your team. I'm not going to lie. That's it. Matt Ryan, I think, potentially has got plenty of pop playing poor Philadelphia. That's it. Your receivers. That's it. Hopkins. That's it. Solid as a rock the last few years. Robert Woods, again, not a particularly sexy pick where he was, but should be extremely effective this year, I think. Mm-hmm. Same with Adrian Brown. So, I think that, and obviously Tyler Lockett's there too. So everybody's got a decent quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, we know what he's about. Yes, he's playing the stout Tampa D. Yes, it's going to be a difficult one today, but he's playing in prime time. He's playing the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, that's it. First game out. No one really knows where it's going. It could be a wild game, this one, by the way.
Yeah.
So, you'd like to think that would be, room for points. But then we look at the other side, and again, I think that a lot of the playmakers on Ross's team do have really difficult matchups. Mahomes is playing Cleveland. They're much better on defense this year. Adams playing New Orleans. They aren't in New Orleans. They're in Jacksonville, but even so, it's still difficult, especially for a team like Green Bay. I know it's like warmest time. It's a different sort of warm down there.
And Marcus Lattimore would figure to be covering Adams.
You would think so, and he's been we know how he shuts down big time receivers. We see him do it to Mike Evans every year. Robinson against LA and LA, tough. Waller against Baltimore, tough. Henderson against Chicago, tough. So, I think that's where probably the quality is on your team will shine through versus Ross's team, which unfortunately doesn't have it quite at the moment as you would want it. You don't have if you don't have the matchups in week 1, you've got plenty of time to catch back up.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be a comfortable win for your team. Even if he changes a few things, it's still going to be comfortable.
Yeah, and with the way this team was drafted, he doesn't really have any options to go with on the bench. Like you say, the starting lineup for Ross certainly isn't bad. Mahomes, Adams, Robinson, all solid players. You've got the 2 Titans though, which should be good, and then we'll see under Al Henderson, but he figures to be the lead back and have some value. Like you say, it is a tough matchup week. He probably needs Mahomes to go off to give him the win in this one, because on the other side, like you say, even though receiver heavy and not all of them are likely to hit, There's good solid receivers there which should get a good solid amount of points. Like you say, Robert Woods you picked out. Yes, completely agree. And seasons past, he's obviously been a solid mid-round pick and everything like that. Well, it'll be interesting to see what Matt Stafford does if he can elevate him to that next level.
He really will.
Because guys like I joked in the draft where I was basically just reuniting the receiver room and gridiron gang for the second year in running. Woods and Lockett there again, but last year where I was relying on those guys after all the injuries I had with Eckler, Barkley and Golladay, these guys are now the supporting cast. So if the top three of, like you said, Elliott, AJ Brown and Hopkins can hit there, it sets up my team pretty well. And even though it's not got the running back, staple volume behind it, you've got some solid receivers there to compensate. So I'm going to go for my team in this one as well. Got to have the confidence, and like you say, slightly better matchups than Ross. Okay, then we'll go on to our next game, which is Forge Flyers v Bare Necessities. Forge Flyers take on Bare Necessities in this week 1. Match up the two founding teams, and Bare Necessities is the one that's projected to take it 100-98. So some quite higher projections in this one compared to the first game. Looking down Forge Flyers side of the ball at the moment, so I believe that's pretty much that's exactly how you drafted it. On draft day. Odell Beckham's questionable there. He's obviously been recovering from the ACL injury, but should be ready to go week 1. On the other side of the ball, my dad's team, I'm pretty sure, that's exactly how it was drafted as well. So both teams at full strength. Curtis Samuel probably won't play. He's got that groin injury, but Golladay probably will. Looking at the history of these matchups all time, Forge Flyers are 11-6 all time against Coach Stubbs Senior.
So now I do enjoy playing Dave, I have to say, and I didn't understand the reason why I had that. But you always get a great game. I think that you always get a team that's not only well balanced but also in a prime position to score points. Mm-hmm. This team is absolutely, up that street. So Wilson against Indy perhaps is the far from ideal start. But Rodgers is playing New Orleans in a weird Jacksonville setting as well.
Yep.
So I think that Rodgers probably got a bit more of a chance of a shootout in that game than Wilson has against Indy. But here's where you're at. I've always been a proponent of home fixtures in this sport are probably worth 10 to 20% more out of players because they don't have the travel time, they're not fatigued, they're not in a weird place. It makes a big difference, right? So look at it there: Diggs, Swift, Kelsey, Evans, Mike Davis, Bass and the Rams, they all playing at home week 1 with fans in the stadium.
Yep.
It's going to be a big lift to those guys. Look, there are some things I really don't like. Obviously, you think of Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Cleveland, all really stout defenses. Chicago is a bit of a weird one on offense, but you think the Rams, no matter who is playing a quarterback for the Bears, and it should be Andy Dalton, you think they're going to get to him a fair bit. So, for
that O-line ain't great either.
No, exactly that. So for those three guys, that sort of evens it out. But the one outlier there is Evans against Dallas, and I think that's dangerous, really, really dangerous. Again, Brady in prime time, number 1 receiver. Godwin's a bit banged up, playing Dallas, not great in there. So he should be feasting.
Yeah,
feasting. On the other side, my team is set up to be extremely conservative. I don't want many ups and downs. Last year it was boom and bust, and I absolutely hated it because you just didn't know what you were going to get. Mm-hmm. This team's set up to know what you're going to get, and then hopefully, just with some big individual performances, should elevate it to the point where you can score 100 points or 120 points or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to try and aim for 90 to 100 points every week, not 80, 110, bloody 85, 120. It was a joke last year. Hated it. So I like the fact that Henry, Mixon, and Carlson, are all fit and all ready to start the year. They should all get great volume in all of the matchups they're against. I love Henry against Arizona, Mixon and Carlson against the Vikings and Indy, not so much, but I love their volume. And then you get to the receivers and you think, all right, well, Cooper Kupp does stand to perhaps benefit, being what he is. against that defense.
Yeah.
But Odell is the outlier here for me. If he plays and he's fit and he's playing Kansas City and it's a bit of a ding dong battle, they're going to need all of the skills that he's got.
Yeah.
If he's not fit and they snap count him and they don't do that, then he's a big gamble. For me on the bench, I've obviously got quite a lot of receivers. So I've got Cobb, Golladay, Samuel, Gallup, Marquise Brown. You could make a case playing all of them except Curtis Samuel's not playing. I don't think Golladay is going to be an option this week. Funny enough, I think that as we talked about with Devontae Adams getting covered by Lattimore, Randall Cobb could be a really weird option in that game.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I got the balls to play him, but he
that would have been bold.
he'd be very bold. But I think I'd probably bring in Marquise Brown at this point over. But I like where I'm at. And again, the Ravens are playing Vegas in Vegas. So that could be good for them. I think that Derek Carr is a very serviceable quarterback, but also is prone to those sort of errors as well. So where am I at with this? Difficult to know. I think if the difficult defenses, the Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Cleveland, shut down the three playmakers on Dave's team, he's got a bit of an issue. He has to rely on Evans and Davis. Whilst my three runners, I would back them against that. So I'm going to go with me as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Dave was in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was really close. I wouldn't be surprised if it went down to the last player.
Yeah, no, I think you've got it right. I think your team is the safe, solid option, and my dad's team is more of the boom bust, high upside variety. Just because you already mentioned Russell Wilson, we know he can run hot and cold, but when he's on, he's on. I'm not actually too concerned about the matchup for Diggs. The Pittsburgh's corners are low-key not that great, so he could have a good day. Swift is a guy I didn't even have on my draft board. Playing a really tough defense week one, and he's coming off an injury as well. So I think he'll lose the man down there, and that could be the one that costs him. I mentioned about Mike Davis. I do like him as well, but we just have to see how that O-line does. The other options around there, look, if Wilson and then Diggs, Evans and Kelsey have good days, you're right, you could be in a bit of trouble. And on your side, you've got Henry, Mixon and Carlson. You've got the solid stable. I kind of feel like Mixon and Carlson maybe do have tough matchups. With Carlson, I'm less concerned because you've got the threat of Russell Wilson there. But with Mixon, he was a guy that I really struggled, and I kept flip-flopping on him all of August. Because he's going to get the work. There's no Geo. He's going to get passing. But that O-line is bad. Burrow's coming back from the ACL. Yep. Is he going to be one of these, just gets a ton of volume, but actually doesn't do a lot with it, which historically has been his career to this point. His efficiencies aren't great. But equally, if it clicks, he'll be a great player. Just speaking to this game for week one, you're right. It's a real toss-up. I think I'll go with your team based on the three running backs there, because you look at my dad's team, the two running backs that he has, Swift and Davis. I've already mentioned about Swift. I'm not really a fan of that, and Davis as well. We'll just have to see what he's like. Whereas you know what to expect from those guys. If you get complementary performances from the other guys around there, which you should do, then it should be enough to see off my dad's team.
I'm really excited to have Aaron Rodgers back as well. It's been 10 years since I've had Aaron Rodgers on my team, which is mental.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I had him once when he broke his collarbone and came back for a game. That was a fun game.
There you go. Yeah. I had him when he was the highest scoring player.
That's also good too. Next game then we have Tom's Tyrants against the Dream Team. The birthday man himself, Coach Nathwani, takes on Tom's Tyrants in the week one matchup. The birthday man is going to get a late present from the NFL as they're projected to win 94-91 over Tom's Tyrants. Looking down the lineups, we'll start on Tom's Tyrants side of the ball. I think there, as they drafted it, week one, which as you would expect, usually we have some teams mix it around, but not so at the moment. They're going with the three running backs and the two receivers. That's three personnel, I believe, the Wildcat formation. On the other side for Viv, again, I'm pretty sure that's how... Oh no, he's actually slotted Corey Davis in over Javonte Williams there. So he's going with two personnel. the two running backs in Eckler and Robinson. But Eckler does have a hamstring injury. He did not practice yesterday. That one's looking a bit dodgy at this point, so we'll have to see. Looking at the history of this matchup, Tom's Tyrants are 11-4 all time against the Dream Team.
Yeah, I'm Viz's biggest hype man, but I'm afraid that 11-4 record, it should be 12-4 come the end of the weekend, I'm afraid. The reason why I say that is that I absolutely love Justin Herbert, right? He is my guy. Last year, if you look back on the podcast, I even said before he came in that you'd be excited when he comes in, because I saw him in a college game when I was out in the States, and he was electric. I can't even tell you. However, this week they're playing the Washington football team, both him and Eckler. I mean, he's going to see a lot of Chase Young in his face. He's going to see a lot of him in his face, and there's a lot of that guy to go around. But you look down the list, Eckler, if he's injured, there's not a lot of depth on the bench to be able to bring in. I just don't really see. He's going to bring Jamar Chase or Ruggs in perhaps, but so that's not really an adequate replacement. So then that leaves you with Robinson playing Houston, which again should be a nice game to start. It's a nice, easy game to ease yourself in, especially the way they are. Tyreek McLaurin, again, two solid guys. You'd figure that Tyreek is going to be well used in that game. Fresh off the preseason. Corey Davis, no one really knows where the Jets are. There's a lot of chat about Zach Wilson being great, but aside from
preseason's one thing, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Aside from that and having a cool bandana, is he really going to play? Is he going to do it when the lights are on? I'd say that the defense is none too clever either. So I think that could be a really difficult uphill sled for Viv. On the other hand, Tom's got. Everybody's fit, everybody's primed. There's some hungry young players in there. You think of Gibson and Harris. Kyler Murray's got something to prove that he's not just a guy who runs around a lot. He can elevate a team.
Just looking as well, sort of kind of Tom's team isn't actually as he drafted it. He's got Deebo Samuel in there over Colton.
That's it. And we've seen that Deebo Samuel is Detroit again, great. Gaskin's the number one guy, and the one thing I'll always bring back every single year is if you've got your number one receiver playing the quarterback on the side, it evens it out.
Yeah.
It evens it out. So it's not going great for Viv. I think Tom's is in the ascendancy here. Should win at a canter, I'd have thought, even though the points they're a little bit high, I think, on the projections. Tom should have no problem at all in this one.
I think this could actually be a bit of a closer game. Speaking of the downside to the Dream Team, you're right. You could look at Herbert, Eckler, tough matchups with Eckler's injury as well, but they're both also quite talented, so could overcome it. James Robinson, again, it's quite easy to just say, he'll do what he did last year, but he had a monumental snap percentage last year. And they've not got the best O-line as well. Rookie quarterback. Everyone thinks Houston's a complete joke, which they are. But it's a divisional game. Teams that are familiar with each other, so you could also see a scenario where Houston win that game, definitely. And then like you say, Corey Davis, which is a fairly speculative player. So you're really looking at Hill and McLaurin, the only two guys that you're feeling probably pretty confident about, as you should. And then on the other side of the ball, I think Murray, he should go off against Tennessee, really. And then you have some issues as well with Gibson and Harris, again, two fairly good run defenses. And Miles Gaskin, the Patriots defense should be far better this season. Bad matchups across the board. Again, so I think you're looking really to Keenan Allen to, as you say, offset Herbert, maybe there. And then Deebo Samuel, while it's a soft matchup, the Niners figured just to run that ball. Surely they're going to win that game just by running it all day. He is the third option in that offense effectively.
He's the play-action king, mate. He's the play-action king. So he is. He's this guy is the play-action king. That's it. And then you're going to think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns in this game. That's it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they'll probably be conservative. But I don't know. Something's just telling me Dream Team might actually win this one. I don't know what it is. season long, I completely prefer Tom's team because you've got Gibson, Harris, two absolute linchpins. Allen, the targets he gets with Herbert is just going to sustain him, and Murray's obviously going to do really well as well. But for week 1, I actually kind of have a feeling the Dream Team might just pip them in this one.
All right.
So our next game then, we now have Badedinators v Pakistan. Badedinators take on Pakistan in week 1, and it's not projected to be a close one here. Probably with the widest margin of the week, 97-84 in favour of Pakistan. Looking down the lineups, there's obvious reason for that because Badedinators will not have Gus Edwards for probably the season, and he's a 0 projection. So if we added in the next man up, it's probably going to be a receiver. It's probably Robbie Anderson, I would guess, with 7.5. So still not going to move the needle there, which means Ollie's going with 2 running backs instead of the 3 he had hoped. Everything else there is as is drafted on the other side of the ball for Pakistan. I also think that's all was drafted as well, and he is rolling out the 2 personnel. The history of this matchup all time, Badedinators are 4-4 against Pakistan, so it's a split series.
And split series, it will not remain, obviously, because someone's.
They could tie.
They could tie. It's not. I doubt that's going to happen. But this is it.
Same.
This is what I love to see, though. Right? Is that it's the primetime first game of the season battle royale of Prescott versus Tom Brady. That's it. Love to see it. If there's one matchup that's going to cancel each other out, it's probably that one because they're going to be equally as good. I can't see Brady being any better or worse than last season. I think that he was obviously picked it up in the second half of the season in a big way.
He was learning the offense, so it made sense. And
exactly
and let's not forget a full year of a fairly normal off season, not COVID hit as well.
That's right,
so.
and he's got his guys around him. And one of his guys is Chris Godwin, and he's got him on the same team. So good for Pat. McCaffrey and Montgomery, you really can't ask for much more. I know Montgomery's got a very tough matchup, but McCaffrey does not. So that's it. For all of the bad, there is plenty of good. His boy Justin Jefferson, love that. DJ Moore, that's it. I had DJ Moore last year. He was annoying to have, but he did get over. He was over 1,200 yards for the season somehow. So the volume is clearly there. I think that with Darnold, that is a step up, and they're playing the Jets, so great. On the other side, Dak's got a tough matchup, but as I say, there is just that thing of the Cowboys on Fox in prime time. It's it's his time to shine, and he's got a lot to prove because he showed last year that he was absolutely brilliant through the first 5 weeks, then went down. That offense wasn't the same after he'd gone down. So there was a reason. Him. But we mustn't forget here that there is now a big hole in the team. Gus Edwards is down. Robbie Anderson can't replace him. Yes, that's a decent matchup, but going forward, that's far from ideal. I see you pick up Brian Edwards as well. So
he's got Brian Edwards.
Okay, so what? So Cavaliers Philly should be great. Deontay Johnson is frustrating against Buffalo, difficult as well. Chase Edmonds, no one really knows if again you're going to have that Kenyon Drake style, decent runner for the first 2 or 3 weeks, or it's just kind of going to run it in all the time. And Kicker and D are a bit meh. So Pat's number 1 for a reason this week. The power rankings don't lie. His team is stacked throughout. There's no one you would really bet against there. Yes, there are a couple of bad matchups, but again, with talented players with plenty of volume. I'll go with Pat. And again, I don't want to curse him again, but Pat's team is absolutely fantastic this year.
Yeah, no, that's something is formidable. Yeah, I'm going with Pat this week as well. You mentioned about Montgomery, a lot of the pre-draft or the rumblings out there that he'll come down and will have a good season because Cohen will come back at some point and they've got Damian Williams now. Well, if that team does hum, and what we see when these rushing quarterbacks come in, when Justin Fields comes in, it usually helps the run game. Maybe not in touchdowns, but in terms of efficiencies. And if that's helping them win games, if their defense can take another step forward, they're obviously going to try and run as much as they can. So, around that, absolutely no question marks about any of the other guys there. The point you made, the weakest link is DJ Moore, but you would struggle to see a scenario where he doesn't get 1,000 yards.
Right.
And then, so easy pick, I'm afraid, this week for me to go with Pakistan, because, like you said, Ollie's team, it's reeling right now. There's a massive hole, not just in the projections, but just in reality.
Yes.
There is not really a next man up. He needs someone to step up out of that group there, or make a trade or something, especially in this week as well with Dak. Like you said, it's week 1, everything's to play for. The Cowboys could have a good day, but I would still say Brady probably outscores Dak.
Agreed.
I don't think that's a stretch. The other guys you've got there, you've got 2 really good guys in Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley, but you mentioned it as well, I don't really know what you're going to get from Deontay Johnson and Chase Edmonds. They're both in committee situations in the sense that the Steelers have a big wide receiver room.
Hugely.
We don't know what James Conner's going to come in and do for Arizona. So, I think it's Pakistan for me this week.
Ollie's got Matt Stafford on the bench, as we said, great trading chip for someone who needs a really good QB down the way.
Yeah, definitely. Our penultimate game of week 1 then is You Are Gold against Neapolitans. Your Gold take on Neapolitans in week 1. The newcomer to the league is not projected to get a good start, as they are expected to lose this one, according to the NFL Fantasy site. 95-85. Looking down the lineup for You Are Gold, their auto-drafted team, it has one change, I believe, to how it was drafted. Jarvis Landry comes in for TJ Hawkinson. Otherwise, they are the same, and they are rolling out 2 personnel. On the other side of the ball, Neapolitans, again, looks like they've gone with their draft day result as well. A couple of injuries. You can see there Barkley has obviously been working his way back, but should suit up for the game. So Dave is going with 21 personnel there, 2 running backs and that tight end. Obviously no history for this game, as it is Dave's first game.
Indeed, and welcome. That's it, I have to say. That's it. It's nice to be able to get to this point. That's it. That big draft capital with TJ Hawkinson, by the way, so it maybe underlines why I didn't like that draft pick. Because even Ollie doesn't trust him. Look, I think that Ollie's got some really spotty players, especially at receiver. I think that, as we talked about earlier on, you've got guys like Thielen and Lamb and Landry, and particularly Thielen and Lamb, who Thielen is obviously going to get gazumped by Justin Jefferson this year. Justin Jefferson looked so good last year. Lamb's in that big 3-headed animal in Dallas, but is he really going to be the top guy, or is it still going to be Amari? I mean, you know what you get, and I think that there is going to be an interesting one throughout the year, because a lot of people have placed a lot of faith in CeeDee Lamb this year, and I don't know whether or not that's misplaced. We shall see. and Landry, he'll go back to being the number 2 behind Odell. Still a great receiver.
Well, yeah, I mean, in week 1, so,
and did great last year. But you need to look. Cook there is probably the only one who I would safely say is a nailed on, quality effort this week. So we don't know what they're going to do with Clyde. We don't know how Baker's going to be, whether Baker reverts to being Baker or elevates himself again. They're playing a bit of a shootout, so there's not a great deal to love. I mean, the projections show it quite high, but I grip my teeth. I really do. Really do grip my teeth.
Yeah.
Whilst Dave's relying on some old trusty favourites to get him over the line, I think Lamar and Jonathan Taylor are going to be a big part of that. Kittle against Detroit, and Brandon Ayuk against Detroit, more to the point. Again, should be feasting there. And as I say, we don't know what the Philly offense is really going to be like, but I think if there's one way of easing yourself into a season, it is playing Atlanta. that really help you, and be the best receiver in that receiver room. For sure, sorely needing a best receiver. It really does. That's it. So we saw Jalen Hurts flash last year, and the fact that he could show what he could do, and if that can translate over to this week, then I think that he may have found himself a little diamond in the rough. But we mustn't forget the big elephant in the room here, which is Saquon Barkley, his questionable status, his fact that he's playing Denver, and the fact that he may well be on a snap count based on the fact that they don't want him to get injured. They're gonna wrap up and cut him all for the first few weeks of the season. I know that he's got to play him because it's his second round pick, and you've got to roll the dice a little bit because of what he is. But I wouldn't expect too much of him early on.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, he'll be limited, definitely.
So, where are we at? Well, I think that it's going to be a close one. I think these are reasonably evenly matched. However, I think I'm going to go for Dave's team just a hair over. I think that the matchups are slightly better. I think that he's not having to rely on, say, spotty receivers in bad matchups, and also for the matchups that matter, which, as I said, Jackson, Taylor, and Kittle, and maybe with a bit of Ayuk, a bit of the Patriots defense should get him over the line. Yeah,
no, I think you're right. I think the only route to victory for you, our gold here, is Dalvin Cook and Clyde going nuclear.
Yeah,
I can't see too many points coming from it anywhere else. And on that side of the ball, I kind of have a feeling that the running back injuries may even help Lamar. Are they going to run a bit more?
Oh, for sure.
Options? He might get injured at some point, but the Raiders D ain't the best.
Far from it. No.
Far from it. And then, like you say, you've got a supporting cast there, which certainly should generate some points. So yeah, I think projections are all wrong for this one. And Dave gets an opening win in his career.
Yes.
In the LOC at least. Our final game of the week then, it is Ixan against Bucking the Trend. Ixan take on Bucking the Trend in the last game of week 1. Bucking the Trend projected to take it 98-87. Looking down the lineups for Ben's team, so let's take a look here. That is as is drafted. Josh Jacobs questionable designation there, but he will play. So Ben is going with 31 personnel for week 1. On the other side of the ball, Bucking the Trend, again, this team looks as is drafted there. Actually, maybe even Raheem Mostert coming in ahead of Amari Cooper, so he's making a bold week 1 decision and drafting a 4th round pick, but understandable given the circumstances. So he is going with 3 personnel, or 30 personnel, I think it is. The history of this matchup all time, Bucking the Trend is 1-2 against Ixan.
A great way to really bring it back in, let me tell you. I mean, I think that Ben is in a bit of a world of issues with his teams here, because I think that his draft didn't go as much as he would like, or didn't go as well as he perhaps would have liked. You look at what's there, and he's got Josh Allen against Pittsburgh. So again, we've seen what Pittsburgh can do to teams, especially off the edge. You wouldn't really want to play that week 1 as much as Josh Allen is a phenom. That's difficult.
It is at home. That's the one saving grace.
Perhaps,
but that defense is a very good defense.
It's stout at the front. Chubb against Kansas City. There's always Kareem Hunt behind him. There's always that nagging little thing going to see when are they going to bring him on. Same with Jacobs. He might not be. He's not fit.
Well, and yes,
we got Kenyon Drake.
And both those teams, if they fall behind, you expect them to go to those other running backs there.
Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that. There are other quality options to hand. Andrews is probably the number 1 receiver now, as we said earlier on, certainly in the red zone, so I'd like to see him have a good day against Vegas. T. Higgins and Harris, again, we don't really know how that's going to shake down. Is Joe Burrow going to be the same guy? Is Joe Burrow going to spread it around a bit more? They've obviously got Boyd and Jamar Chase as well. We've heard of Jamar Chase's struggles. I think Boyd's a really good receiver, and obviously Higgins had a great year last year, but yeah, we don't know how that's going to pan out.
Yeah.
And again, with Harris, we talked about that earlier on. That's it, with the options that they've got, especially in the red zone.
And a fairly tough matchup.
And that as well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Miami's defense is are no slouches. What's on the other side? Mike's got a lot of the components to propel him on to have a good year. So he's got one of the best running backs in the game. Sanders is a very good RB2. You don't like him, but he will get the volume regardless. And he's a nice 4 to Hurts, as we talked about earlier on. With those running QBs. he's got a stack with Tannehill and Jones. Like it. Metcalf is obviously the number one guy and the number one point scoring guy, and it can cause an awful lot of damage. And Mostert in a great matchup as well. So, and I must say, sometimes you don't mention the D's, and I don't mention the D's enough. But
49ers against
Detroit could well be.
Whereas Ben playing the Browns against the Chiefs is.
Yeah, it's night and day there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, there's not a lot to say about this one. The projections, I think, are right. I think that the golf's going to be an awful lot more than the whatever it is, 13-point golf that there is now.
Yeah.
Bucking the trend to win by a canter.
Yeah, no, I think the same. I think if they drafted anyone else but Sanders, in that spot of the players that were there, Mike's team would probably be my favourite team of the draft, because you're talking about, Amari Cooper is a bench player at this point. It's a solid team.
Yeah, 100%.
They've got very nice matchups, or even not, if they're not nice, they're definitely not bad. Whereas you look at Ben's team, like you say, they have some issues, both from possibly a talent perspective, but also from a matchup perspective. The only one that's, I would say, is probably easy there is the Mark Andrews against Las Vegas, and you don't want to be relying on your tight end to carry the rest of your team. So. I agree. Probably an easy win for bucking the trend this time round as well. So yeah.
There you go. So we're in agreement for most of them. I think one matchup we're not in agreement.
Yeah, I think the only one we disagreed was Tom's Tyrant's Dream team.
On Knife Edge.
Let's see how good we are. We haven't tracked our accuracy.
We haven't. We might start this year.
I'll jot that down and keep a running tag. But that is it for the week one show. It's good to be back. It was fun to play the jingles and stuff again. Obviously, I said as well in the week, you're welcome to come and watch the games at mine on Sunday if you would like to. Obviously, we saw I have the two TVs, so very well set up for Red Zone on one and then a game on the other.
That's it.
Thanks for joining in, Chris.
You are quite welcome. It's been lovely to be here. This is probably our latest ever show.
Probably, yeah. I'm nearly falling asleep. So.
Yes, exactly that. So, I hope you enjoy it. If you're still watching this, then you're more committed than we are. So,
and the podcast version will be available on all podcasting apps in the morning, because I'm not doing it tonight. No,
it's far too late. We're an hour from the next day.
Yeah.
So.
And with that, best of luck this weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Enjoy the game.